video is on inscribed and central angles. So let's go over just the differences between the two vocabulary words first. Inscribed angles are angles whose vertex is on the circle itself. So if you see here from the diagram, we do have this inscribed angle. It's this angle right here, in which case this would be the example of the intercepted arc formed from that angle. So by definition, the inscribed angle is equal to half the measure of the arc, or if you want to think about it from the opposite perspective, if you take that inscribed angle and multiplied it by 2, that would also be equal to the arc. As opposed to a central angle who has a vertex at the center of the circle. So if we're looking at this diagram here, the center of the circle is here, so the inscribed angle is just formed from that center and then both radii. So the intercepted arc would be that arc right there between the angles. So the angle and the arc are both equal to each other in a central angle measure. So just a super quick example, let's put some numerical values in here. If we know that this inscribed angle has a measure of, let's say, 50 degrees, well then the measure of the intercepted arc, so this measure in here, would have to be twice as much, which would be 100 degrees. As opposed to here, if we're looking at a central angle, and let's use the same numbers, let's say that this again is 50 degrees as a central angle measure, well now the measure of the intercepted arc has to be congruent to that, so now this arc would have a measure of 50 degrees. So let's just go through and let's just identify a couple. So take a moment, pause the video if you need to. Of the diagrams here, A, B, C, D, which ones represent an inscribed angle and which one represents a central angle? So let's go ahead and reveal our answers here. It looks like we have let me move my guy here. So let's see, looks like we have an inscribed angle to start with, because again, the vertex is on the circle itself, as opposed to B was a central angle. We have a vertex in the center. Same idea with C, the vertex is in the center, and an inscribed angle again with D, because the vertex is actually on the circle itself. So once we can identify some inscribed and some central angles, let's look down and see if we can figure out the numerical values for each angle. So again, go ahead and pause the video if you need to. You want to try to solve for x in each one of these problems. If we again move the shaded region over, we see that in the first example, x is equal to 40 because it's twice the measure of the inscribed angle. In B, we're looking at a central angle, so the angle itself is equal to the arc measure. Same idea with C. The central angle is 150 degrees, and so is the measure of the arc. And D again was that inscribed angle. So if we were given the arc at 160 degrees, that means the inscribed angle would have to be worth 80 degrees, or half that amount. Hope that helps find the difference between inscribed and central angles. Thank you for watching.